Here's 5 reasons why pit bikes are better than normal sized dirt bikes. We got the eggs cooking with freaking oil, which is like my biggest fear. We're gonna make some sausage with this as well, with a cup of coffee. Great way to start the morning. At 10 a.m. We woke up a little late. I wanted to start filming at like 8 a.m., maybe 7 a.m. It didn't work out. Look at that. Nothing like when you make eggs and then it doesn't stick to the pan. Grab one of our country sausage patties. All right, this is Cooking with Moto Daily. This is the new segment on the channel. Look at that. Look at that. Get some spinach in there. Cannot go wrong with spinach. Look at that. Three eggs with nothing in them, spinach, and 1 sausage patty with a cup of coffee. Here's 5 reasons why pit bikes are better than normal sized dirt bikes. All right, 1 bike out, 1 more to go. There she is. We're gonna bring her out front. Those who are new here, this is my 2008 Kawasaki KLX 140, and this is my unknown year SSR 125. As you can tell, this is a pit bike. This is not. This bike looks absolutely massive next to this tiny thing. Tire comparison. Exhaust pipe comparison. Just overall size comparison. There's actually some things I like better about my pit bike than I do about my KLX. Let's go through them. If you are looking into getting your very first dirt bike, I would recommend starting on a pit bike and then moving your way up to the bigger sizes. Especially if you're under the age of 10 or 11, starting on a pit bike is going to be way better, especially when it comes to working on it. Pit bikes, as you can see, everything is definitely more exposed. For example, your air filter is located right here. On a bigger bike, for example, my KLX, it doesn't go for all bikes, but for this bike, the air filter is located behind this panel, which you need to take off by a screw. All of your wires are all right here, and you also have very few, as where if you go to the bigger bikes, for example, my KLX, that's a lot of wires, but they're very organized behind the number plate. Let's get into the pros and cons. So stay tuned because I'm going to be talking about 2 more things later in this video. Now, starting off, the most obvious thing, a pro about a pit bike is, again, everything is way more exposed and is way easier to work on a pit bike than it is on a big size bike. But a con about everything being exposed is that it's more likely for everything to break easier. It's not really the best for your air filter to be standing out in public like that. As you can see, it gets all rusted and it gets all dirty, and you have to clean this thing like once or twice a month. Same thing with your carburetor. Your carburetor is going to get dirty way faster, again, because it's more exposed. Pro about the bigger bikes is that you get the beauty of electric start. A con about electric start bike is that it adds about maybe 15 to 20 pounds of the battery that you have stored in the bike. Meaning if you fall or crash on this bike, it is extremely heavy to pick up, and it's just heavy to move in general. I don't know what category to put this in because a lot of people don't like kickstart, but also a lot of people do like kickstart. Me personally, I love Kickstart bikes. I guess this is gonna be 2 pros, depending on how you look at it, but this has Kickstart to it. Yes, this is a little con because it is harder to start than it is just pressing a button. By the way, off camera, that took me about 15 to 20 tries just to get this bike started because it was a cold start. So it definitely does take a long time. So I guess that is a con about the kickstarts. But a pro about the kickstart is that this bike is extremely light. Wow, that actually did take me a long time to start though. Starting one of this took me about 15 to 20 tries to get it kick-started. That the bike is warm, let's see how many tries it takes. I guess it's 2 or 3. All right, that was 1. 2 tries. Back to the pro about Kickstart bikes. They're extremely light, especially if it's a pit bike. This bike probably weighs about maybe 100 pounds, if not a little less. This bike weighs about 140 to 150 pounds. So again, super good for beginner riders. It's easy to pick up and it's easy to move. You cannot do that with that. Bro, about the big bikes, the suspension is obviously going to be just way better. The suspension on this bike is just way better than that bike. It's kind of hard to show you guys how good the suspension is, so we're going to do this. Right now, the kickstand is down. I'm not sitting on the bike. I'm standing right now. I'm going to sit down on the bike and look where the kickstand goes. Ready? Kickstand hit the ground. Kickstand's now off the ground. Kickstand's back on the ground. The suspension on this bike is not bad. Look how big that spring is. Now let's do a test for this. Kickstand is not on the ground. I'm standing up. Now we're going to sit. That's the suspension. I'm going to sit in 3, 2. That's all we got. A con about the bigger bikes is that they're just more expensive. The bigger the things are, the more expensive they are. This tire we picked up at Cycle Gear for about 120 bucks. This tire is probably about 130 to maybe 140 bucks. Speaking of tires, I gotta get new ones. Maybe not in the back, but definitely in the front. But now to end off this part of the video, let's get through the final stuff. If you are under the age of 10 or 11 years old, and if you're first starting to get in dirt bikes, I would recommend 100% starting on a pit bike. I know it doesn't look cool and it may not sound cool, but it's going to help you a lot. It's going to teach you a lot about bikes, and you'll be extremely grateful when you stop getting one of those and you start getting one of those. Also, again, when you first start getting dirt bikes, you're going to want to learn how to do this, how to do that. A pit bike is super easy to do because it's extremely easy to get to stuff. And then, again, you start working on one of those. A lot of you guys want to know, what do I use to film my videos with, like this video, for example, or my riding videos and stuff like that, and how much does everything cost? I just want to say, if you're making a YouTube video, or if you're starting a YouTube channel, you do not need expensive stuff. You really don't. But here we go. This is not, a lot of you guys wanted to know what I used. It's not a big thing. It's super small, and it's like a super small variety of stuff. But I keep it all in here, so we're going to be going through it. So, starting off with number 1, which is my main camera, which is this right here. So, this is my Minolta MN35Z. So, back when I used to have an iPhone 8. And the camera quality on my iPhone 8 wasn't as good. So, I wanted to get a camera, an actual camera. But I recently just got a new phone, which is the iPhone 15 Pro. The iPhone 15 Pro, the camera quality is amazing. So now I don't need to use my big camera as much anymore, but I still use it sometimes. This camera is about $200, $190 to $200 on Amazon. And it's 20 megapixels. And the battery life on this camera is actually super good. Like, it's not bad at all. Next up is the GoPro. This is what I use to film my riding videos with. This is the GoPro Session. We bought this GoPro for about $200 used. My dad bought it from a friend. If I don't recommend buying a used GoPro, because especially if it's online on like eBay and you don't meet up in person, you never know what could happen. eBay's just a super sketchy place. Even Facebook Marketplace. Meet up in person. Or The only reason why we bought this used is because it was from my dad's friend, and he never used it, so it was practically brand new. All of these scratches and stuff I did when I would crash on my bike a lot. So this is all my doing. But a used GoPro session is about $200. I recommend getting a brand new one. A brand new GoPro session is about $400 to $500. The cases that I use, we have this all blacked out case. So I just take this, slide it in, just like that, bam. I don't have my helmet. I left it downstairs in the garage. But play back into the beginning of the video where I was wearing my helmet, and you can see the chin mount that I had strapped on my helmet. You take this, you place it on the chin mount, and then it's like a point of view. And then another case that I have, by the way, this isn't a case. It doesn't protect anything. This is just kind of like a mount. But I also have this waterproof case. I went on vacation last year, and I wanted to record it. We went on an inflatable water park in the middle of the marina. So you take this, you slide it in, and bam, just like that. So it's super nice. Use this for waters, for when I go in the pool or something like that, and then you don't have to worry about any water getting in it. The only thing, though, is that the clips just get rusty. We were in salt water, again, because we were in the ocean, so it got rusted, like very fast. For the black GoPro mount, this was about $10 off of Amazon. For the waterproof case, this was about $20 on Amazon. Next up, which is the last thing, the microphone that I use for my moto vlogs. This is a Movo microphone that I bought off of Amazon for $30. This came separate. This is a USB to headphone jack adapter. This was actually, I don't know why these are so expensive. This was like $20 off of Amazon. And then we have the actual microphone itself. I keep it rubber banded because this gets stored inside the cheek pad. And then this gets mounted right in front of my mouth. So the camera quality is super good. And that's pretty much it. So again, I don't have a lot of stuff to film videos with. And you don't really need a lot of stuff. If I didn't have this phone, I would probably end up using my big camera. But now that I got a newer phone, or at least a camera quality that is better than my iPhone 8, I don't have to use the big camera as much. A lot of people are confused on why I don't spend a dime on this piece of junk. And the real reason is I've spent already so much money on this thing. Back then. You guys have been watching my videos for a long time now. You guys know that this was my first dirt bike. And also, this channel was originally called Fox Vlogs. And Fox Vlogs was dedicated to this dirt bike. We spent about $200 on this bike. Sticker kit, number plates, grips, levers, pegs, chains, tires, air filters, everything. And then once I got my next dirt bike, which is my 2008 Kawasaki KLX 140, this bike just went to retirement. Now, a lot of you guys know that, but a lot of you guys are saying, why don't you make this a project bike? If you guys don't know what a project bike, the meaning of the project bike would be collab with a bunch of different brands. Take a bunch of different brands and put them all on the same bike, and it's called a like a collaboration bike. I'm not saying I would collaborate, but it would be brands collaborating with other brands. Does that make sense? Okay, it's like Troy Lee Design and Fox Racing collaborating. That's what it would be. It's two brands collaborating. I would take a bunch of brands, collaborate them together, and put them all on the same bike. We have two problems. Number one, that's a lot of money. Now, I may have some of the money to do that, but another thing, it's not a problem, it's actually a good thing. I am getting a new dirt bike later this year. Now, I don't exactly know what type of dirt bike I'm getting, but right now we're looking at a CRF 125. I wanted to stick with Kawasaki, I really did. I don't like bouncing between bikes. I think it's kind of stupid. But I don't really have any say in what bike I get. So my opinion just does not matter. My mom doesn't really have a passion. Actually, let me rephrase that. My mom does not have a passion for dirt bikes. So my dad picks out the bikes that I get. I told my dad two things. Number one is that I did not want a two-stroke. My respect for two-stroke riders is all the way down here. The other thing that I told my dad is that I did not want a KTM, a Suzuki, or a Husqvarna. So the three bikes that I would be extremely happy with is a Kawasaki, a Yamaha, or a Honda. But my top two is definitely Kawasaki and Yamaha. Back to the reason why I don't want to spend a bunch of money on this bike. Depending on what bike I get and how the bike looks, I'm probably going to end up spending a bunch of money on that bike. But the CRFs that we're looking at have the same exact boring sticker kit. Here's a bunch of things that I would do to the bike. Number one, changing the sticker kit. Number two, probably changing the grips, changing out the levers, and also buying new bars for the bike. Another thing would probably be changing out the exhaust for an FMF exhaust. Again, all the CRFs that we're looking at does not have an FMF exhaust. They're all of the stock exhaust, and they look and sound awful. Also, if you guys are new here, the first thing I do to any new bike that I get is put the number 21 on it. This is my very first dirt bike. We have the number 21. And if you guys didn't notice, on my Kawasaki, I also have the number 21. Number 21 has a couple meanings. Number one, it's just always been my lucky number. Number two, that was the day that I was born on. And coincidentally, number 21 is actually my favorite dirt bike rider, Jason Anderson. So, project bike in the future with the pit bike? Absolutely not. Project bike with the new bike that I'm getting in May? Absolutely. I'll see you guys next time.